Let's move on. Because when we are talking about injustice, there can be no greater than the story I'm going to now tell you about. After Hindus took to the streets in Bangladesh to protest the genocidal wave of violence directed at them, the caretaker government has begun the process of launching a massive PR, public relations overdrive. That's what I'm going to call it, viewers. And I always back any claim I make with facts. Muhammad Yunus, the chief of the caretaker administration, not only met a delegation of protesting Hindus but also visited a landmark temple. Yunus made all the right noises and shook all the right hands for the waiting video journalists. And they clicked, viewers, furiously so that we could get these pictures of smiling leaders of the interim establishment, viewers. Smiling. What are they smiling about? A genocide? Viewers, you see a camera and like monkeys, if you smile, then it's quite clear, viewers, that your instincts are not human. At such a solemn moment, you're not there, viewers, to inaugurate a temple. You're there to tell the victims of a genocide that you stand with them. Should you be smiling? Well, viewers, smiles apart, Mr. Yunus also, of course, said all the right things. Yunus is aware of the power of the spoken word and knows that saying the right things and being seen doing the right things at the right time is of incalculable PR value. So, viewers, here you have the entire mass of Bangladeshi media called for this staged stunt. Yunus met the leaders of the Hindu groups at the Dhakeshwari National Temple in Dhaka, accompanied by Law Advisor Asif Nazrul and Religious Affairs Advisor A.K. Hussain. Viewers, instead of apologizing, they were smiling as if they were cutting ribbons. Yunus then went on to say we should not be seen as Muslims, Hindus or Buddhists, but as humans. Yunus says the root of all problem lies in the decay of institutional arrangements. Yunus said appeal to Hindus to exercise patience before judging the new government. Yunus said our prime goal is to establish and defend human rights and free speech. Following Yunus's visit, Hindu and Muslim leaders held a meeting at the temple. Muslims and Hindu leaders have pledged to, quote, strengthen communal harmony, unquote. But viewers, here are 5 reasons why we need to be careful before reposing faith in the glib-talking Muhammad Yunus. Hard fact 1. Yunus heads an administration that includes the ultra-conservative Islamist group, the Hifazat-e-Islam, the HUI. This group, viewers, is not about communal amity. In fact, they want the Ahmadiyas in Bangladesh to be labeled non-Muslims. They want Sharia rule, viewers, in Bangladesh to be imposed. They are part of this interim administration that is overseen by Muhammad Yunus, who is today talking about, and in his words, viewers, not mine, in his words, defending human rights and establishing free speech. Here's another hard fact. The HUI has links to the pro-Pak Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh and the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Worse, the Hifazat-e-Islam has been linked to attacks on Hindus, viewers. In 2021, here's another hard fact. Several HEI followers gathered at a Hindu village in Sunamganj, where they attacked the minority community because a Hindu man had criticized a speech made by an HEI official. This is their tolerance for free speech. And viewers, Yunus says, appeal to Hindus to exercise patience before judging the new government. Our prime goal is to establish and defend human rights and free speech. He's in bed with the devil, viewers. He's in bed with the wolf. He's clothed in the sheepskin. But that sheepskin hides the wolf, viewers. These people are not tolerant of free speech. Hard fact 4. In October 2021 at Durga Puja, the HEI was linked to the largest anti-Hindu mob attacks, rioting, after a fake news report alleged that blasphemy was committed at a Pujo Pandal. They cooked up a story. They used that story, viewers, to attack Hindus on one of their holiest days. It is in fact the biggest religious festival for Hindus in Bangladesh. Hard fact 5. The HEI has deep links to the Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh, which in turn has been linked to Islamist terror groups such as the Jamaat-ul-Mujahideen Bangladesh and the Harkat-ul-Jihad al-Islami Huji. Viewers, you don't need any introductions to these groups. They carry out terror attacks on Indian soil. If Yunus was so secular as he's being portrayed in some section of the media in India and by some Indian opposition politicians like Sharad Pawar, why would he share power with the bigoted proponents of an Islamic state in Bangladesh? Viewers, that's the fundamental bottom line question. Let me begin by asking this question of Mazhar Khan, Bangladeshi journalist from Dhaka. Mr. Khan, how is an interim government that has the likes of this JEI part of its basic structure committed to defending human rights, secularism and free speech? Can you explain, Mr. Khan?
Let me start with Dr. Yunus's visit today at a temple in Dhaka, Dhakeshwari Temple, where he strongly uttered that human rights will be always will be on the first choice of this government, and there will be no violence and hatred among any of the citizens of the country, whether it could be Muslim or Hindu, anyone. So several incidents so far occurred in Bangladesh, and so far you mentioned that before attacking any Hindu temple or house, they cook up a story, like they start to spread a sort of rumor against this community, and they does that. But last night an attack took place in northern place of Bangladesh, where one of the former local leader, the Hindu personal home, he said, "I have no enemies in my area who are attacking." And after that, several political parties like BNP and Jamaat Islam representatives over there, they took place on took their position on that place, and he said that while the house was burning, he couldn't see who are the attackers.
Sir, Mr. Khan, with due respect, sir, do you know that two US courts, one Canadian court and one US court, has declared both the Jamaat-e-Islami and the BNP as terrorist organizations? Are you aware of this, sir?
Well, we know about Jamaat Islam, but regarding BNP, it's not.
Okay, so you know about the Jamaat-e-Islami. The Jamaat-e-Islami that has very close ties with the organization that is part of the interim government, sir. That's why I'm asking. How can this interim government that has got this wolf lurking in its midst guarantee Hindus that their rights will be protected against bigotry, sir? Simple question.
Okay. Simply, the answer is like that. The total protests were organized by the students. Onward, after the...
Sir, I'm only asking you about this association. Why is a government that is so secular in its outlook, why does it have Islamists in its midst?
Because most of the people in our country are Muslim, and so far the government
So you need to have an Islamist radical organization being part of the interim establishment because you're all Muslims. Do you support this, Mr. Khan?
No, we Bangladeshi general people never support such kind of things. Okay. As you know.
Let me ask Mr. Chileni. I don't want to delay Mr. Chileni any further. Mr. Chileni, here is the response. We are all Muslims. Therefore, it's okay for a radical Islamist organization to be part of our interim government, because clearly we are happy to be represented by their obscurantism. Does that inspire confidence, Mr. Chileni?
There are two issues that stand out. First is that this military-chosen interim government serves as little more than a handmaiden of the powerful army. After all, it was the army chief who was instrumental in Hasina's downfall. And to give a civilian cloak to military rule, the army cleverly chose a Nobel laureate as the nominal head of the government, of the interim government, even though Muhammad Yunus has little experience with national issues. So all that Muhammad Yunus can do is what we saw today, a photo op at the temple, making statements that sound reasonable. He's saying the right things in public, but he's a toothless chief advisor. This is the big problem. The second problem, which is not just the fact that the interim government includes a radical Islamist group, it is the real power in Bangladesh today, the military, the army, is the one that is actually committing some of the atrocities against the Hindus. For example, in Gopalganj, which is Sheikh Hasina's home district, where there's a sizable Hindu minority, after the fall of Sheikh Hasina, there were these protests in Gopalganj against a forced departure from the country. And the army sent tanks and armored personal carriers and carried out atrocities, singling out the Hindus there. So whether you look at the interim government or you look at the army, which is all-powerful today, they are not able to protect the Hindu minority other than make statements that are good for public relations.
Tuhin Sinha, will the CAA be liberalized by the Modi government to remove the cap to allow the tyrannized Hindus into the country, given the fact that we cannot take at face value the assurances made by Muhammad Yunus, and there is no guarantee that the attacks on the Hindus will abate?
Well, Rahul, it's an evolving situation, so I would not be able to comment on that right now. But I think, there is a larger issue over here. While, the gesture of Muhammad Yunus needs to be appreciated, his temple visit, his apology to the Hindus, I just hope they don't turn out to be like Rahul Gandhi's temple visits. And that is something which our government will very closely ensure with the Bangladesh government. There are 1.4 crore Hindus over there. I don't think, we should imagine a situation where we should, be open to everybody unless the situation goes out of hand, because those people chose that country by choice. And I think we, as a responsible government, would ensure the safety of Hindus living over there. Because, if we allow the situation to go out of control and if we welcome everybody right away, it is only going to be an Islamist victory, which the world should be wary of. And I don't think we should ensure that. We should allow that.
So then why did we bring in the CAA? Mr. Chileni, there is some, I don't know, I'm not getting this logic.
I'll just take 30 seconds to tell you that.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
The CEA obviously has a cutoff date. The CEA obviously has a cutoff date, and the cutoff date becomes important from the security point of view, because, when you naturalize citizens of another country into the country, there are certain checks and balances which need to be in place.
Okay. So are you telling me that we can't even open our...
Revisited, if it needs to be...
One second.
No,
are you telling me that we can't even open...
If that needs to be revisited, absolutely.
Okay, one second. Okay, let me bring in Mr. Chileni. Mr. Chileni, look, I don't know about whether this particular government, this interim administration in Bangladesh can actually deliver on some of its promises. But what I can definitely say is that as a responsible neighboring state, we can at least bring some of those refugees across, house them in an encampment, make sure that when things return to normal, when we have assurances, when we have stipulated assurances they can be rehabilitated back to their country. Is that not possible at all? Or are we going to have only one-way traffic? That is, that Muslim illegals can keep coming in, but Hindus will be told when darkest hour of need to stay out because, you see, we don't trust your antecedents. How should we deal with this?
Rahul, the scenes at the Bangladesh-India border of desperate Hindus begging border forces to let them in, and they're being told if they try to enter, they'll be shot. Those are the scenes.
Yeah.
These desperate Hindus are fleeing violence. They are wanting to enter India to save their lives. And it's the Indian border forces that are preventing them from entering. This actually underscores the dilemma that the government of India faces. One concern is that if you open the floodgates to the flow of Hindus from Bangladesh, then this would allow the Islamists to basically turn Bangladesh into a holy Muslim country. And what could begin as a trickle could become a flood of Hindu refugees entering India. But there's also the larger issue that you raised about the CAA. The CAA was actually enacted by Parliament in late 2019.
Yeah.
The Indian government only implemented it in 2024 after more than 4 years, and that too before but just before the general elections in India.
Yeah.
Which clearly underscored the politics behind.
Right. So it was just a chimera.
So it was very unfortunate that they brought politics into a law, which is akin to an American law.
Well,
that has allowed Christians and Jews to enter the U.S.
The Lautenberg-Specter amendments. Absolutely. I think the bottom line here that I think Mr. Chireni is drawing our attention to, viewers, is the hopelessness of the situation that Bangladeshi Hindus find themselves in. They're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. Wow. Can you imagine that, viewers? I'll leave it at this. We'll be right back with The Right Stand. Don't go away.